The movie begins with Grace marrying Alex, a wealthy man. She confides in him that his family thinks she's a gold digger, but she's excited to join their family. Alex's brother, Daniel, interrupts, urging Grace to leave, which she dismisses as a joke. After Daniel leaves, Alex sincerely offers her a chance to back out, hinting at hidden family secrets. Despite this, the wedding proceeds happily. That evening, as Grace and Alex enjoy their newlywed moment, Alex's aunt, Helene, startles Grace. Helene leaves, mentioning the family is waiting for the games. Alex explains that his family has a ritual where every new member must play a game, which holds more significance than the marriage itself. Confused but willing, Grace agrees to participate. Later, Grace meets Alex's mother, Becky, who reveals she knows Grace was raised in foster care. Grace becomes emotional, expressing her desire for a permanent family and vowing not to disappoint them. She then meets Alex's brother-in-law, Fitch, and his sister, Emily, who warmly welcomes her as a new best friend. The family servant, Stevens, announces it's time for the games. Grace is led to the family gaming room, where she's awed by the family's heritage. Alex's father, Tony, invites her to the table and explains how their great-grandfather's card printing company evolved into a multi-billion-dollar gaming empire under their grandfather and himself. Tony explains that their family's success isn't just luck, it's guided by someone watching over them. He reveals a mysterious box tied to Mr. LaBelle, who has influenced their family since his great-grandfather's time. LaBelle gifted the box, and since then, every new family member must play a game of his choosing. Tony places an empty card in the box and asks Grace to draw one. She pulls out a card reading, "Hide and seek," smiling innocently. The family, however, is visibly shocked. Tony explains the rules. Grace will hide, and after he counts to 100, they'll search for her. Grace notices cameras but is assured they won't be used. Games are played traditionally, as in the great-grandfather's time. Grace begins her search for a hiding spot. Meanwhile, Tony distributes weapons to the family, hinting at the ritual's dark nature. Grace hides in a dumbwaiter, but Tony and Becky instruct Charity to keep Alex in the room, ensuring he doesn't warn Grace. Concerned, Alex sneaks out to find her. Tired of waiting, Grace leaves the dumbwaiter. Elsewhere, the maid notices Emily's son, Georgie, is missing and goes to search for him. Grace hides again as the maid approaches, but Alex finds her first and pulls her into hiding. The maid nearly discovers them but walks away. As she exits the room, Emily mistakes her for Grace and shoots her dead. Grace overhears the family arguing, furious at Emily for mistaking the maid for her. Helene insists they must find and kill Grace before sunrise, shocking Grace as she listens in. After they leave to hide the maid's body, Grace confronts Alex, who reveals his family believes something terrible will happen if they don't kill her by dawn. Alex leads Grace into the servant corridor, but she's furious he kept the truth from her. She argues she could have refused to draw the card, but Alex explains they'd both be dead if she had. Playing the game is mandatory, but Alex vows to help her escape. He instructs her to head to the kitchen while he goes to the control room to unlock the doors. Grace struggles to compose herself but agrees. As she moves, her bridal gown slows her down, so she tears off the excess fabric. Confused by two doors, she steps out and is spotted by the family. Just as Tony aims at her, Emily arrives and fires blindly, giving Grace a chance to flee. Grace hides in the study, where Daniel enters for a drink. She pleads with him not to call the others, and after a tense moment, Daniel gives her a 10-second head start. Once the time's up, he alerts the family. Charity arrives first, berating Daniel for letting Grace escape. The others join, and Charity reveals Alex is helping Grace. Realizing Grace knows the truth, they panic. Emily arrives, distraught over her earlier mistake in forgetting her gun. Fitch hands her a crossbow, and when Dora mentions she's seen Grace, Emily impulsively shoots an arrow through Dora's throat. Fitch drags Dora away, and Helene urges the family to find Grace. Charity suggests using the cameras, but Helene disagrees to go against the tradition. Becky sides with Charity, arguing their great-grandfather would have used cameras if available. She orders Tony and Daniel to activate the cameras while the others search for Grace. Meanwhile, Grace reaches the games room and grabs a shotgun. She heads to the kitchen but finds the door locked. At the same time, Alex reaches the control room, struggling to unlock the doors. Grace tries to shoot the lock, but the gun doesn't fire. Hearing someone approach, she hides. Alex finally turns on the cameras and sees Grace hiding from Stevens in the kitchen. Tony and Daniel notice the cameras are active and realize Alex must be behind it. Alex unlocks the kitchen door, alerting Stevens. Grace steps out, aiming the gun at him and demanding he step aside, but Stevens refuses, revealing the guns are only for display. Grace attacks him and escapes. Back in the control room, Alex destroys the security system just as Tony and Daniel break in. Tony lunges at Alex, but Alex overpowers him, warning him to stay away from Grace. Daniel calms Alex, but as Alex pleads for help, Tony knocks him out. Grace opens the dumbwaiter and finds another maid inside. She asks the maid to swap places, but the maid panics and calls the family. In her haste, the maid presses a button, causing the dumbwaiter to crush her. Grace tries to help but fails and flees the scene. Meanwhile, Tony handcuffs Alex to a bed. Stevens arrives, reporting the death of the third maid and that the doors remain unlocked. Tony loses his temper, but Becky calms him down. After everyone leaves, Helene confronts Tony, drawing parallels between herself and Alex. She recalls seeing her own love slip away and claims Alex is afraid to embrace his role as the family's future leader. Unbeknownst to them, Grace overhears their conversation. Moments later, Grace leaps off the roof and runs to the barn. She hides but encounters Georgie there. She asks for his help, but instead, he shoots her, injuring her hand. Enraged, Grace knocks him down, but a goat pushes her into the goat pit. The stench makes her vomit, and she's horrified to find a human skeleton inside. She tries to climb out, but the ladder breaks, leaving her hanging and further injuring her hand. Still, she manages to escape and tends to her wounds. Grace leaves the barn but is spotted by Charity outside. Charity fires at her but misses. She informs Stephen that Grace is heading to the north fence while she goes to alert the others. Grace reaches the gate and tries to jump over but fails. She sees a car nearby and screams for help. Grace notices a broken bar in the gate and barely removes it. She attempts to squeeze through the gap, severely injuring herself in the process. Despite this, she succeeds and stops the car, but the driver ignores her and drives off. Meanwhile, Stephen contacts Tony, revealing Grace is in the forest and he'll bring her back soon. Daniel prepares to leave and tells everyone to get their wedding gifts ready. Tony is furious at his attitude and warns that if they don't find her by morning, each family member will be killed. He loses his temper over the deal his great-grandfather made with LaBelle, but Becky calms him. She orders Fitch and Charity to find Grace while Daniel and Emily dispose of the maids' bodies. At the barn, Daniel and Emily get rid of the corpses when Georgie calls his mother, admitting he chased Grace to the barn and shot her. Daniel is stunned when Georgie admits he shot Grace because the family was trying to kill her. Meanwhile, Stevens finds Grace and attempts to knock her out, but she fights back. After a struggle, Grace chokes him unconscious with her belt and steals his car. Grace contacts the emergency service, begging the agent to call the police. However, the agent stops the car, revealing it's been reported stolen. Grace tries to stay calm, but Stevens arrives and tranquilizes her. Later, Stevens informs Tony he's bringing Grace back, easing the family's tension. As Stevens blasts music, Grace regains consciousness. Seizing the moment, she attacks him, causing the car to crash. Grace steps out of the wrecked car to find Daniel pointing a gun at her. She pleads with him, calling him a good person who wouldn't hurt her. Daniel admits he likes her but feels powerless and knocks her out. He calls Tony for help, and they bring Grace back to the mansion. Tony confesses his mistakes and vows to appease LaBelle, revealing LaBelle is Satan. The family prepares an altar to sacrifice Grace, chanting mantras and drinking a ritualistic brew. Just as Tony is about to strike, the family vomits blood. Daniel poisoned them to save Grace. Daniel frees Grace, but Charity arrives, warning Daniel to step aside. When he refuses, she shoots him. Grace fights back, knocking Charity down. She thanks the dying Daniel for his sacrifice and leaves, only to face Tony. Enraged, Tony attacks, but Grace grabs a lamp and knocks him out. As Grace moves forward, Becky fires an arrow, missing her. They fight, and Grace gains the upper hand, using the evil box to brutally disfigure Becky's face. Meanwhile, Alex finds Daniel, who dies in his arms. Heartbroken, Alex rushes to Grace. She's relieved to see him, but when he tries to hug her, she steps back. Realizing she won't stay with him after everything, Alex calls his family, ready to sacrifice Grace to save them. The family prepares to sacrifice Grace to LaBelle, with Alex as the stabber. They chant mantras, and Alex stabs Grace in the shoulder. She escapes the table, warning everyone to stay back. Helene uncovers the windows, revealing they've lost the game. The family panics, hiding in fear, but nothing happens. Relieved, they dismiss the stories as lies. When asked about Grace, Helene lunges at her but suddenly explodes. LaBelle's music plays, and Fitch is next, followed by Charity, who insists on going home but meets the same fate. Emily and her children try to flee but also explode. Tony, furious, declares he followed the rules but is powerless. Finally, only Alex remains. He approaches Grace, claiming he's different, but Grace demands a divorce and throws her ring at him. Alex explodes. Grace glances at LaBelle's empty chair, catching a fleeting glimpse of him. She steps outside, sits down, and lights a cigarette. Rescuers arrive and ask what happened. Grace replies, "In-laws." As the movie ends,